What's going on, guys? This is Redline here, bringing you guys an Outriders Pyromancer build video. Now, I like to call this build my Ashes Quake build. I don't know if you like the name or not, but you'll see why I named it that in a minute. A few notable facts about this build is that it's a great crowd controlled and debuff build. It's good for clearing out ads and areas. It's also good at it makes enemies like a lot easier to kill. You could be a little bit flexible with the mods, and it works great in groups because of the debuffs that occur. And it's based around the ash effects, and it in certain situations. Well, I just say in certain situations, but if you choose to use like burn on your gun or for whatever reason, then that works perfectly fine as well. Before we get into the build, let me explain to you the two statuses that's going to be involved in this build. Ash. Ash encases an enemy in ash, preventing them from moving or attacking for about 2.5 seconds. Now I know that's a short duration, but you'll see in this build that it's actually gonna last longer than that. Vulnerable is also a status that's going to be involved. Vulnerable enemies take 25% more damage from all sources. So now let's get into the build, starting with the skill tree. We're going to be using the Astral Breaker skill tree. The first node is Infernal Weapon, increase your weapon damage by 8%. Marble Orchid, reduce immobilized skills cooldown by 15%. Mark of the Anomaly, increase your weapon damage by 10% against marked enemies. And then you have Assault Master, increase your assault weapon damage by 20%. Increase assault weapon drop chance by 20%. Assault weapons include assault rifle, light machine gun, submachine gun, and the double gun. The next node, Blood Boil, increase your armor piercing by 10%. Trial of the Ashes, enemies afflicted with ash receive 10% more damage. Increase your weapon damage by 10% against marked enemies. And then we have Hot Situation, activating your immobilized skills increases your anomaly power about 45% for 10 seconds. And then we have Incinerate, the moment burn ends on an enemy, inflict ash status. And then Curse of the Pompeii, ash inflicted on enemies lasts 15% longer. Another Curse of the Pompeii, ash inflicted on enemies lasts 15% longer. So you get an extra 30% duration on ash when you apply it. Mark of the Anomaly, increase your weapon damage by 10% against marked enemies. Infernal Weapon, increase your weapon damage by 8%. Increase your weapon damage by another 10% against marked enemies. And then Ashes to Ashes, every time ash is afflicted on an enemy, vulnerable status is inflicted as well. That's why I explained the vulnerable status. Nimble as a Flame, decrease reload time by 20%, and then hurt twice as long. Increase damage against elites by 10%. Elites deal 10% less damage to you. And then Trials of the Ashes, enemies afflicted with ash receive 30% more damage. And then we have Marble Orchid, reduce immobilized skill cooldowns by 15%. So that's a 30% cooldown overall. And then Burning Situation, activating immobilized skills increase your weapon damage by 45% for 10 seconds. So as you can see, you're getting a lot of weapon damage just by putting enemies on ash and marking enemies. So this is a lot of weapon damage that you're going to get from this skill tree. So let's go into the skills. We're using Ash Blast. Create an anomaly blast to inflict ash onto all enemies within a large radius around you. It's an immobilized type skill. Feed the Flames. Select and pull an enemy towards you, dealing 12,051 damage and draining 12,051 health and inflicting ash. If you're not able to get a kill and you get low health, then Feed the Flames will come in handy. And then we have Overheat. Deal 1,688 damage to all enemies within a large radius and interrupt their skills. Enemies afflicted with burn receive 21,692 damage instead. The burn will be consumed. It's an explosive and interrupt type skill. Now, you're probably wondering why I got Overheat, but I'm going to explain when it comes to the mod why I'm using Overheat. So let's get into the weapon I'm using. I'm using the Wicker submachine gun standard variant, and the tier 3 mod that's on it is Ultimate Ash Bullets. Shocks inflict ash on enemies. So pretty much every bullet I shoot is going to inflict ash. And then I added the other another tier 3 killing spree Killing shots increase damage by 25% for this weapon for 20 seconds. Bonus deteriorates with time and stacks up to 3 kills. So after 3 kills, you got a 75% weapon damage boost. And I got this gun from Tiago using the drop pod resources. My secondary weapon, which is essential to this build, upgraded Bull and Eagle 50, upgraded Bull and Eagle 59. The first mod on it is fireworks. Shots create an explosion that deals 25,402 damage to enemies within the 6 meter radius. And I added the tier 3 mod grand opening. Landing a hit with the first bullet in a magazine creates a powerful explosion dealing 108,671 damage in a 5 meter radius, 1 second cooldown. Now, what's so special about this tier 3 mod on this gun is that this is a one-shot variant rifle. So it's only got one bullet in the clip. So every time you shoot, he reloads. And since it says landing a hit with the first bullet in the magazine creates a powerful explosion, and there's only one bullet in the clip, grand opening is gonna always be active when you land it, when you shooting this gun. So that's very important. It's gonna come in handy, as you see in the gameplay, when it comes to taking down tougher enemies and elites and bosses. So the headgear, I'm using the first mod is Empowerment Ash Blast. Skill deals additional 20,376 damage. So when I initially activate Ash Blast, it's gonna do 20,376 damage. The second mod is Ashen Boost. Boost your damage against enemies afflicted with Ash by 20%. So you're gonna get an extra 20% on enemies that has afflicted with Ash. Second, the chest piece, I use Cinders. Overheat. The skill consumes ash instead of burn. So that's why I'm using overheat as my third skill, because once I use ash, I can use overheat and it's going to consume ash and do damage. The second mod is Dying Fire Breath. Whenever your health drops below 30%, burn is inflicted on enemies within a 10-meter radius. This is a pretty much a defense mod. So if you get swarmed by any enemies and they take your health below 30%, they all gonna get staggered with burn. When they get staggered with burn, you're gonna be able to get out of that situation. Not only that, because you inflict burn on them, when the burn goes away, they're gonna get afflicted with ash. When they get afflicted with ash, they become vulnerable, which means they're gonna be taking an extra 25% damage from all sources. So it just all works in sync pretty much. The pants, I got the first mod is Sunburnt Overheat. Increase the damage of overheat by 20,376 damage to enemies that have their statuses consumed by the skill. So when I activate Ash, they're gonna get that 20,376 damage. When I use overheat to consume the status, then they're gonna take another 20,376 damage. Second mod is Mitigation from Death. Killing enemies while aiming down sights grants 29,004 points of armor for 10 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. This is pretty much a mod that pretty much should be on every build, if you ask me. Because 90% of the time, you're going to be aiming down sights anyway. And as you get kills, you're going to be getting armor. So that's just going to help with your survivability. The gloves is Ash. First mod is Ash. Increase range. Ash Blast increases the skills range by 66%. The second mod is Ash Armor Down, which is essential to this build as well. Ash Armor Down, Ash Blast decreases enemy armor by 50% for 5 seconds. So anytime you inflict ash on any enemy, their armor is going to be reduced by 50% for 5 seconds. And it's going to help you just mow those enemies down, including elites as well. The boots, the first mod is Wide Grip, Feed the Flames. Enables absorption of one additional target. And the second mod is Protection of the Flames. Killing enemies marked by Pyromancer with a weapon increases your armor by 12,931 and resistance by 10% for 15 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So anytime I mark an enemy with overheat, then when I kill them, I'm able to get an extra armor and resistance. So that's also essential to your killing, and as well as the aiming down sights. So, and just as a side note, Ash Blast and Feed the Flames are the only 2 skills that the Pyromancer has that can inflict ash on an enemy. Here's the stat sheet. Pause if you need to. So we're about to get into the gameplay of an expedition I did. Oh, also as a side note, the numbers that I in these mods are they're scaled with the level of your gear. So as you put in this, if you put this build together, you're not gonna have the same numbers as I have. So just keep that in mind that these numbers that are in these mods are not going to be exact. But like I said, without further ado, man, let's get into the gameplay, and I'm gonna explain my strategy in the gameplay as to how I use the build. All right, so the strategy that I use with this build is I try to get into a crowd, right? Um, and I use my ash blast, and I wait a couple seconds, and then I use my overheat. Now the reason why I wait a couple seconds is because ash blast actually has a travel time, so you have to let it travel out as further as it can, and then use overheat. Overheat doesn't have a travel time. So first thing I'm gonna do is I know there's some snipers up top, so as I survey the scene, I get close to the snipers up top, use my ash blast. You see it catches them, overheat, and it eliminates them. After you shoot whoever remains standing, and as you can see, you just chain kills after that because everybody is so weak. Everybody's on a couple shots away from dying. Now, as I run up on this elite, I'm trying to mow him down. It doesn't work. He's black. He's has ash on him, but he's taking too long to go down. So I pull out my rifle. Once I pull out my rifle, one hit, he's gone. And that, and of course, like I said, as you chain kills, you're getting that damage boost and you're getting those armor points because you're killing the marked enemies. Ash blast, overheat, everybody's marked. Overheat marks the enemies. And if you look closely, you'll see the white skulls with the green pluses on them. That's how you know they're marked. So anytime you shoot those enemies and kill them, you get healed. Oh, really? Honestly, you don't even have to. You don't even have to kill them yourself. If you're in a group and you mark those enemies, when they get killed, you're gonna get healed. So I see another group. Blast them, overheat, they gone. If you look on the map, you see a lot of those red dots just disappear once you use overheat. So I'm trying to dodge this elite skill. One shot blasting. You see the damage that it does? That's what a tier 3 perk does. Just able to melt the enemies, man. It's a bunch of them. So I use my blast, make sure it catches everybody. You see they got them in the back. Then I use overheat. Now you can't wait too long when you use the blast because ash they only stay on under ash like I want to say like 3 or 4 seconds. So you don't have that much time, but you just need to make sure that your blast reaches as far as it can before you use your overheat. And a great strategy that you can also use is like that's also handy is that when you inflict the ash, they stay in place. So if they stay in place, you're able to land your rifle shots to blow them up. And you're gonna see me do that a lot during this gameplay. Sometimes you're gonna have to inflict the blast and overheat again sometimes, whenever it pops up. But I'm gonna let the rest of this gameplay play out and let you guys see how the rest of the game go and how just utilize all my skills and just how everything is in sync. So continue to watch and enjoy the gameplay. Redline out.
The way through to the peak is blocked. Must be a way past it. Looks clear. Time to head for the peak. There's the pod. Good call, Dunham. Hey, Dunham. Looks like the insurgents found the monsters here while looking for the pod. They blocked the passage and trapped the creatures here.
That's why the insurgents have been camped up there. But with what end goal?
Probably try to wait them out, so they'd starve and eat each other. With the pod secure now.
Good work, Altered. And thank you for clearing that infestation. You've made my life easier for about 7 minutes.